Hi, Sandra here from Create in Spain. Today I wanted to do some bite-sized tutorial bits on Procreate. Now Procreate is a very good drawing app. It's one of two that I use an awful lot, and there is an awful lot that you can do in Procreate, but for people who just want to do some very basic things like design their own cut files, design their own stamps, design their own stickers, that sort of thing, do a bit of clip art, I have some really great tips. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm using a monoline brush, and that basically means it's like a pen line. Yeah, there's no texture to it or anything like that. And if I go to the slider on the right, I can increase or decrease the size of the stroke, and I can decrease or increase the opacity. I've got it set on full here, obviously. So this is a really nice smooth stroke, but how do you make sure that whatever stroke you're doing is as smooth as you want it to be? Well, the answer lies in the brush settings. So these days, if you tap on the actual brush, you get this brush studio coming up, and it has its own drawing pad on the right hand side, so you can see what effects you're getting. And the most important thing on this setting for getting a nice smooth line is the streamline. Now I've got it set to the maximum it can possibly go to, and as you can see, you get lovely smooth travel, and this translates well for things like tracing into Cutter software, because you've got a really nice smooth line. It doesn't have lots of extra nodes that it shouldn't really have, because you're not doing little it takes the shakes out of your pen basically. It isn't to be confused with what is under the Apple Pencil, which is smoothing. And that is something that responds to the pressure put on the Apple Pencil. So what you want is under the stroke path, and it's streamline. And you can take it down if you want to. You can see what results this has on the lines that I drew. Okay, so you go from very wiggly to not very wiggly. So you can play with that, but keeping it on maximum, if you're not doing a very complicated outline, keeping on maximum is not a bad idea. So that would be my very first tip. So if I undo these, and for example, I draw something like a heart, I don't have lots and lots of shakes in it. Okay. Now another thing that you can do, there are two other things, in fact, that you can do to aid your smooth drawing. The first one, I don't happen to have one on at the moment, but it's to wear a glove, because particularly if your hands are hot during the summertime, I do tend to wear something on my hand. You'll find that your skin drags against the surface, and it is very hard then to draw a straight or smooth line if your skin is pulling. It's not affecting me at the moment. My skin is quite dry and it goes over the surface without a problem. But during summer, if you've got hot hands, if it's a bit humid, yeah, wear a glove, that helps. The other thing is that most people draw with their fingers, like so. And it's understandable, because that is how you normally write. They also tend to grip a pencil way too much. Loosen it up. If you hold it really tight, it's like if you are trying to, for archery, for example, if you hold on to everything too tightly, everything goes awry because you're putting extra forces on. And you don't want to be doing that. You want to be doing, for some strange reason, I've altered my setting here to rubber. You want to be doing nice, smooth lines, not sort of jerky things with a lot of pressure on them. And lastly, on making your smooth lines, try, if you can, to draw from the shoulders. So you're moving your whole arm. And because you're using a major muscle group, it's going to be smoother than if you are just using that. So your hand stays more or less the same, and you use your shoulder to move the pencil. And I agree, it isn't that easy to do if you're not used to it. And it's certainly not easy to do if, for example, like me, I tend to hold my iPad in one hand and draw with the other when I'm sat down, and I might be drinking a cup of tea at the same time, so it doesn't necessarily work all the time. But if you can, that will help to smooth your drawing. Number 2, Procreate has some nice tools to help you with your drawing. One of them can be located under the spanner at the top left here, and it's under the canvas setting. Now the first one down is crop and resize, the second one is animation assist, and the third one is a drawing guide. And if you tap that on, you can see I get a line that goes up through the center. If I tap on it again, you can go underneath that to edit the drawing guide. And you have different options. I've chosen symmetry, but you have perspective, isometric, 2D grid. You can adjust the line thickness, and you can change the color along the top. If you've got a dark background, then you might want a light color, and vice versa. You can alter where the line is by grabbing it and rotating it. And you can move the point from which it starts just by moving it like so. If you're trying to draw something like this, and just tap that so you can see it, this is where the symmetry comes in really handy. When you need something to look the same on both sides, but you only draw one half. So I didn't draw this bit, I just drew that there, and as I'm drawing it, it appears on the other side. So if I put another layer on here, you can see this layer doesn't have assisted written underneath it, and this one does. Now if you want it to be assisted, you tap on the layer and you can click on drawing assist, and that will make it an assisted layer. Now I'm just going to tap on this box here and hide the layer that I've already got there. There we go. And now I can demonstrate that whatever you draw on one side ends up going on the other. And it is a really, really strange thing when you're watching it to see it happen. But if you get used to it, it's a really, really good tool. Take that off. I'll do the eye. There we go, an eyebrow, and anything else that I want to have doubled over, and I think I probably want to give this creature some hair as well. And I want to erase that line there, so the erase function works on there as well. There you go. Click back on the pen, and I can add another layer, and this layer theoretically doesn't have drawing assist on it. Let's see. Yeah, that's correct. And I don't want to go down that far with that line, so I would do that. And normally I would want the drawing assist on for that line there, and so on. I want to go back into the assisted because I want to put some whiskers in. There we go. So you can go back into an assisted layer and out of an assisted layer. Once you're happy with your drawing, you can go to that layer on the top and you can merge it down, and so it is now the same layer. Now we're only looking at this layer, we're not looking at this one because this one is actually hidden. So there we go, that is how you use the drawing assist. So my next tip is about colouring in line images like this. Now, if you're working on things which are basically cartoon-like or clip art-like, it's really handy to be able to keep the outer line separate from the colouring. And there is a nice easy way of doing this. But first of all, we need to make sure that our areas that we want to colour are closed. So for example, where the eyes are here, I have some open paths and I need to get rid of those. Definitely need to close them up. I think that's the only open path I've got there, but we'll find out when I try and colour. So in the Layers tab, this is the layer that I've been working on. And what I want to do is to tap on that and click on Reference Layer. Now the reference comes up in the blue tab to the right hand side of your drawing, and this is a really handy feature. Tap on plus and have another layer on top, and now I can start colouring by dropping colour into the areas that I want. So that would be black, and that would be black. Oops, didn't get anywhere. There we go. And go for green eyes, I think. There we are. And I want the face of the rabbit to be a pale pink, a very pale pink. So, whee, there we go. Teeth can be white. Okay, nothing else needs to be coloured in at the moment. So this is coloured in very, very quickly. But if we look at the layers, the colours are on this layer, not on that one. I still have my lines that I can, if I want to, do another rabbit in different colours, and it won't be a problem. I would simply hide this layer and then use that layer for my reference layer, add another layer, put that layer over my reference, and off I go, colour again in a different way if that's what I'd like to do. There are all sorts of reasons why you might want to keep your lines separate. Maybe you want to have it so that you can make your drawing into a stamped image and you want to do a coloured version just to show yourself what it will look like. No problem, you can keep it completely separate without having to redraw it. And then on this layer here, if I tap that one off, tap this layer on, you can see all my coloured areas. Brilliant. Now, the other advantage with this is we can add shading without going over our outside lines. So if I use this layer and I then, on this one, I put another layer above it and I go to a clipping mask, there's a little arrow there, and that literally means a mask is on the pieces that are coloured here. So the mask is on there. And it will only allow me to colour inside the mask. So for example, let me take a slightly deeper shade of pink and go to an airbrush this time. I've got a soft airbrush selected. And let's see what result I can get if I come in with my pink. You can see that it's going inside the lines, which is great. And I can put a little bit of extra colour around the ears there, because this is automatically going to make the underside of the ear paler in comparison. So that's fine. Here we go. And I can put some rosy cheeks in here. If I go to find a sort of apricot-y sort of colour, like that, I can put a bit of blush on the cheek area. There we go, making it more obvious so you can actually see it. And then I can take that layer and I can merge it down with the layer underneath. So all my colouring is now in one layer still. but I have my drawing separate, and if I tap my drawing, I get my lines back in place. So this makes doing colouring of your images very, very, very much easier, because it still allows me to maintain these dark outside lines. Normally, if I airbrushed and I just had a clip mask around all of it, then those black lines would be within the mask and I would be airbrushing over my black lines as well. So this saves me the aggravation of having to have another layer and plunk it on top of that with my black lines. It's still there and my drawing is complete. So there we go, that is my 3 tips for Procreate for complete and utter beginners. Let me know what you think underneath the video. I'm sorry if you clicked on this thinking it was going to be for expert level, it's not. But let me know what you think and let me know what you would like some further videos on. Thanks very much for watching, I'll see you again soon. Take care now.